Playing PreCons. We're going to start off with 3 games playing with Mardu Surge. Here's the first game review. Hello, folks, jokes, and artichokes. Thanks for tuning in for the very first episode of Triple G on MTG's Playing PreCons. And just like the title says, we're going to be playing pre-constructed Magic the Gathering decks in the beloved game of Commander. And in this first episode, we're going to go ahead and talk about the first PreCon Commander deck that we're playing with, which is Mardu Surge. It was given to me as a Christmas gift from my nephew, and I've got to say, I really do enjoy this deck so far. And just to get it out of the way, if you haven't had a chance to yet, please hit that subscribe button and help us hit 1,000 subscribers. Now, talking about this deck and PreCons in general, I want to know how you feel about playing PreCon decks in Magic the Gathering. Now, me, myself, I never really got into playing PreCon decks because I just wasn't my cup of tea. But now I'm going to dive into them in 2026. Now, with this one, Mardu Surge, it has 2 commanders. Zurgo Storm Renderer or Nariv Crackling Vanguard. I think I said those names correctly. Now, the one that I decided to go with, well, first, before I tell you that, let me ask you, which one of these commanders would you go with for your first time playing the Mardu Surge commander deck? Let me know in the comments down below which one you would pick. Now, they both interact with the deck in completely different ways, but they both synergistically work with this deck. And between the two, I've got to say, the thing that made me choose the one that I chose was casting cost. Yes, I decided to go with the commander that was the cheaper of the two when it came to the casting cost. Well, the original casting cost, which was Zurgo the Storm Renderer. And when choosing Zurgo the Storm Renderer, I was new to finding out what Mobilize was, which Mobilize as a mechanic allows you to have a 1/1 tapped attacking Red Warrior creature token that you sacrifice at the beginning of the next end step whenever you attack with Zurgo. So not only are you attacking with your commander that is a 3/3, but you also have a 1/1 that is attacking as well that you sacrifice at the beginning of your next end step, which works with the second part of the Zurgo card, which reads, whenever a creature token you control leaves the battlefield, draw a card if it was attacking. So you get to draw a card, so you get a little bit of hand renewal every time that you attack with this commander. And not only is it that token, though, because other attacking tokens, you do the same thing, but if it's not tapped, then each opponent loses 1 life when that token leaves the battlefield. As for my opponents, my friend Shane was running the animated army PreCon. That's the other thing. All of my friends were nice enough to play PreCons also, so that I could test out this PreCon. And the animated army PreCon, I believe, has a raccoon for the commander from the Bloomburrow set. And I don't know much about the Bloomburrow set. I think the wife and I only bought 1 or 2 packs from this set, but I'm very excited to see what this PreCon does as well. And the second player in this 4-player pod also is using a Bloomburrow PreCon deck, and that one is Squirreled Away. Now, my friend John runs a Squirrel deck, but it's not a PreCon, and it is a nasty, nasty deck. This one is being navigated by my friend Katie, and, well, let's just see how the PreCon Squirrel deck runs. I've not seen it in action as well, and my wife, however, is going to be going away from the Bloomburrow set and going with a 2016 Breed Lethality deck that I don't know much about it. I do believe the commander is Atraxa, one of the Atraxas. Atraxa Practor's Voice, I think, if I'm saying that correctly. And we're all utilizing PreCon decks. So how do you think that the deck that I chose, Mardu's Surge, is going to stand up to these decks? Do you think that it's going to be victorious? Let me know in the comments down below. And I think that I stand a pretty good chance. That's what I'm going to say. I think I stand a pretty good chance. With Zergo as the commander and only getting a quick look at the other cards in the deck while I was sleeving it, my battle plan was real simple. Because I saw a lot of instant cards that gave us 1/1 creature tokens. Some of them dogs, some of them soldiers. Well, the idea that I had was to build this small 1/1 army and utilize it as a defense. Because I could block, and all opponents then take 1 damage if it is a untapped creature. But I could then have my 1/1 creature tokens attack almost as that sacrifice to allow me to draw more cards, to, I guess, draw into more of a win con. Now, it might not be a great angle, but it's the one we're going with. Now, do you think we won? Well, unfortunately, we did not. But guess who did? That's right, the 2016 Breed Lethality deck. And now, whenever I say won, the kill shot was insane. I was the last person taken out, but I was taken out by a 52-52 Atraxa, Practice Voice. And now, when you get taken out by a 52-52 that's commander, well, it kind of makes you want to put your cards in the box and throw them into the bottom of the closet. But that's not what we did. What we did was we thanked everyone for playing, because it was still a very fun game. I know hearing that we got taken out by a 52-52 sounds like that game was probably not fun, but I can assure you the gameplay of the game was intense and insane and amazingly fun. And you know what they say, folks, you cannot judge a deck on a single game, but unfortunately, that's all the time we had to play. Was enough time to play one game, because a game, as you know, some games of Commander can go a little bit longer, and this one did. But what do you think? Do you think Zergo was a good choice for the first time playing this Commander deck? Or would you have went with the other Commander, the Dragon there? Now, I feel that I'm going to play the next few games as Zergo, as we're going to get a chance to play some games this Saturday. And I'll come on back and I'll let you guys know how this deck, Mardu Surge, holds up against some other decks. But I feel the decks I'll be playing against this Saturday aren't going to be a bunch of PreCons. Well, some of them might be. I don't know. We'll find out. But most importantly, I want to know, what PreCon Commander deck would you recommend that I try next? I know there's been some great ones that have come out, especially recently. I was even told that they had a Sliver PreCon deck. And those of you that know me know that I love my slivers. But let me know, what deck do you think I should try next? I'd like to thank you all for watching. And if you haven't had a chance to yet, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps. And if you could be so kind as to share this video out to another Magic the Gathering player, that would be super cool. Leave a comment too, because the algorithm, I guess, really likes that kind of stuff. We'll see you next episode. Game number 2 up for review next. Hello out there, folks, jokes and artichokes, and thank you for tuning in for Triple G on MTG's Playing PreCons episode number 2. And as you kind of saw in the first episode, we're rocking through Mardu Surge. Now, with each of the PreCons in this series, we're going to be playing 3 games. That way we can get a good feel on whether or not the PreCon can hold up on its own. Now, with Mardu Surge, one of the nice things with this PreCon deck, as you're about to see, is that, before we get there, let's go ahead and, if you could, please subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, because that really does help the channel, and it also helps with the algorithm. Our goal is to hit 1,000 subscribers on this channel. Can we do it? I don't know. But with your help, I think anything is possible. Now, like I was saying, with the Mardu Surge, commander deck, the PreCon commander deck, it's pretty cool because this deck does come with 2 commanders that you can choose from. Now, for the first game, we chose Zurgo. So, for the second game, we're going to go ahead, I believe, and choose the Dragon, which is, I'm probably going to say the name wrong, Nerive Crackling Vanguard. Now, the deck itself plays very, very well with mechanically with both of these commanders, and you can even have the commander that you don't choose as your commander as a card in the deck, and it still plays out really, really cool. Now, the first game that we played, we chose Zurgo, and we did not fare so very well. It was a fun game, but we were still learning the deck and learning the deck mechanics. Now, being that this is our second game, we're going to mix things up a bit, go with a different commander, but our strategy is going to be very, very similar. Get a lot of tokens on the field, and basically try to rush the board. Now, with Nerive here, it is a flying death touch 4/4 commander. Now, when it enters the battlefield, you'll create 2 1/1 goblin creature tokens. Now, when it attacks, you can exile any number of cards from the top of your library for each differently named token you have in play. So we're going to try to get tokens out in play, such as clue tokens, treasure tokens. I don't believe we have clue. Let me take that back. Treasure tokens, any tokens in general, spirit tokens, elemental tokens, other creature tokens, even copying creatures and making tokens of said creature. Any way you want to cut it, because what our goal is to do mechanically with this commander is to have as many differently named tokens on the battlefield when we attack, so that we can exile from the top of our library and cast those spells. Now, the nice thing that I got was 4 of my good friends, Curly, Bo, and Shay, all decided to go ahead and give me a hand while testing out this deck. Now, they're not playing PreCons, folks. They are playing some rather fun sounding commander decks. Now, as far as Captain Curly goes, he's playing a Marlin Fey Ascendant deck. Now, I'm not quite sure what surprises we're going to see, but he said it's a commander deck that's a PreCon that's just been slightly modified. And now Bo is rocking the Kuja Mage Manufacturer, and he has the Final Fantasy art card, which I've got to say is rather flossy. And our boy Shay is rocking Anti-Ol Curse Wretch. Now, I'm not quite sure how any of their decks play out, but I do know how my deck is supposed to play out. And, well, let's just say that I'm hoping that Mardu Surge is able to hold up against these 3, well, awesome game players, awesome commander players. I've played commander with Curly, Bo, and Shay many a times before. And each and every game has been exciting and, well, some of them frustrating, because let's be real, everybody knows that certain players have certain decks that are, well, just designed to poke the bear, so to speak. Kind of like Mardu. Mardu Surge is kind of designed in that nature with this commander, with being able to exile spells from the top of your library and hopefully cause a little headache for others. Now, how do you think we did up against these 3 knuckleheads? Well, let's just say that the gameplay of this one has definitely been a, well, fast-paced and crazy board states all the way across. Now, I was utilizing Nerive here, and one of the biggest things that I was able to do was flood the field with a lot of differently named creature tokens, which did allow me to utilize my commander's ability, I think 2 or 3 times during this game. And I was able to exile 3, 4, and 5 cards respectively whilst playing. And unfortunately, not a lot of the spells that would have did some big damage, but we were able to get a lot more tokens out off of the exiled cards that we got from the top of the deck. Now, I did think that we would do a little more damage with the commander. With the commander having death touch, I figured it would be a lot more of a weapon, but that wasn't the case whenever we were playing this game. As a matter of fact, I kind of got, swatted down pretty hard. Yep, Anti-Ul was the winner on this one. Shay, as you see, the board state that Shay had, this was the kill shot, at least the shot that had taken me out of playing this evening. And this was a fun game, though, I've got to say. And even though we were not playing up against PreCon decks, I will say that this PreCon deck did show up. It did hold its own. So even though we may not have gotten a victory, I do feel that the Mardu Surge deck has shown that PreCons can keep up with even some of the most competitive decks around your table, at least around my table. And it was definitely a lot of fun, and definitely something that I would suggest you giving a shot at. Now, whenever you play Mardu Surge, I recommend you giving both commanders a shot. I preferred playing with Zergo, but I can definitely see where Nariv is going to cause a lot of chaos and a lot of fun for me once I am able to navigate the deck a little more fluently. That's what it is. I just kind of got certain cards that would have been good had they been drawn in another situation. But that's just kind of how the deck unshuffles, as they would like to say. And let me know who you would have picked, as this brought our record with this PreCon to 0-2. Now, we did say we're going to play 3 games with each deck and then give our personal review on each of the PreCons that we play. But so far, even though the record shows 0-2, let's just say that the fun is a big 10 with Mardu Surge. Now, what PreCon commander deck do you recommend that I try next? Does not matter what series it's from, just that it's a PreCon. And it's a PreCon that we can look up and purchase, because we want to keep the PreCons as natural as they come, so that we can see how each and every PreCon holds up against decks that were built by our homies and even other PreCons. But I'd like to thank you for watching. If you haven't had a chance to yet, now's a great time to hit that subscribe button and help us hit 1,000 subscribers. Remember, you rock, and so does Magic the Gathering. Game number 3, up for review next. Hello, folks, jokes, and artichokes. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for tuning in for Triple G on MTG Playing PreCons. This is episode number 3 and game number 3, where we're using the Mardu Surge PreCon. Now, those of you that have been watching this series know that I have fallen head over heels in love with the Mardu Surge PreCon. As a matter of fact, this PreCon single-handedly brought me back into playing Commander. Now, please subscribe if you've not had a chance to do so yet. It really does help the algorithm. Right now, our goal is to hit 100 subscribers. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button and help us hit our goal. And then we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit more about Mardu Surge as the PreCon. Now, for those of you that are new to PreCons, they are pre-constructed commander decks that you can play directly out of the box. Now, with Mardu Surge, the nice thing is it comes with 2 different cards that can be utilized as the commanders for this deck. Now, you can use one of them as the commander at a time. It's not like partner. However, the dragon Niev Crackling Vanguard is a flying death touch dragon that definitely has some mechanics that really work very well with this deck, as you're able to create 2 red 1/1 goblin creature tokens when it comes into play, and the exile mechanic that allows you to play cards from exile. It's definitely an awesome mechanic. But the Zergo Storm Renderer is the one that I started with in game 1. Then I switched to Niev for game 2. But for game number 3, Well, I think we're going to have to go back to using Zergo Storm Renderer. I was told that he's the commander that is less used when playing this precon, but I fell in love with him myself, so we're going to go ahead and utilize Zergo Storm Renderer for game number 3. Now, he has Mobilize 1. Now, what that is when he attacks, he also creates a 1/1 Red Warrior creature token that's attacking also, and you sacrifice that creature at the end of combat, which works with his second mechanic, which is whenever a creature token you control leaves the battlefield, you draw a card if it was attacking. Otherwise, each opponent loses 1 life. Now, the way that works with Mardu Surge works very well because a lot of the cards in this deck create tokens that can be sacrificed or that have other mechanics that can be utilized, such as if you are attacking and it gets taken out, it still works with this commander. I feel that once we finish this game, we are going to take this deck and, well, modify it slightly, but that's another conversation for another video. But now, Zergo Storm Renderer has a few obstacles in his way for this one. Now, trying to say the name of this card is going to be a little hard for me. I believe it's Canios and Tiro of Melitus. Now, at the beginning of each end step, it has an effect go off that I'm not quite sure how it helps win the game. But this card here, the legendary Raccoon Bard that we've went against before in a Bloomberg precon, is a headache as it turns junk and, well, just about everything else into 4/4 elemental tokens. So that's going to be a thorn in our side. And this one here, Seer Kara the Bold, I've never played against this one. It's a human knight that whenever a instant or sorcery is played, you're able to deal damage to a player, and then when you deal damage to a player, then you exile the top instant or sorcery, top card, and if it's an instant or sorcery, you're able to play it. It also has a ping mechanic where you can do 1 damage, but I don't think that's really what's going to be utilized with this deck. But I do feel that Mardu Surge as a precon can hold its own against, well, just about any deck that you come across in the average shop. Now, this isn't going to be something you can go ahead and step into like a CEDH Commander tournament or anything like that. But I do personally feel that Mardu Surge at your local game shop, at your LGS, will give you hours upon hours of gameplay and fun that will make you competitive enough to not just be the guy sitting there with a precon and twiddling your thumbs, because that's what a lot of people think. If you get a precon, you're not going to be as competitive as other players at the table. But for someone that's hopping back into Magic, and this being the commander deck that I decided to navigate and play for my first time getting back into the game, I've got to say, it definitely held its own. Now, as you heard earlier in this video, I used Zergo Storm Renderer. Now, what the ideal was I was going to flood the field with as many tokens as possible. And there's a little red spell. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but you get to cast so many 1/1 red elemental tokens. Then you ask each opponent if they'd like to make that many tokens as well. But the kicker to that card is, say I make 7 tokens, and then the player to my left makes 7, then I get an additional 7. Now, if the second player after that makes 7, then I get 7 more. You understand how it can really get your token count up there. But usually, people sitting around the table that I'm playing at, I might have 1 or 2 people decide to add those extra tokens. But that's the idea. We're going to flood the board with tokens and try to have them leave the field without them being in the attack position. And, well, it ended up working, folks. The winning kill shot came from Zergo Storm Renderer, and what I ended up doing was how we said we wanted to flood the field. We did just that. We ended up getting 26 1/1 tokens on the field, and one of our other creature cards in this deck allowed us to sacrifice a creature and scry. Now, by doing so and having Zergo on the field, we literally just scried 26 cards from our deck and dealt 26 damage to each opponent. And that was the winning kill shot. And it really made me realize that Zergo could become one of those decks that you see, well, going off, so to speak. A friend of mine said he does not feel that Zergo could be CEDH, but I kind of disagree. I feel that this deck can go off rather fast, and it can be rather furious. Now, Zergo, in my opinion, was a lot of fun to play. Mardu Surge, my pre-con record is now 1-2, and I personally would highly recommend to anyone wanting to hop back into Magic the Gathering, wanting to hop into Commander, if you're looking to pick up a pre-con, Mardu Surge, the Tarkir Dragonstorm Commander deck, is definitely one that this Commander player gives two thumbs way up. Whether you want to play with Nareev, I'm sorry, I said Niev, Nareev or Zergo, either way, you're going to have a lot of fun. And you're going to be competitive. No matter what table you sit down at your local gaming store, I feel that you may not walk away with win after win after win, but you do have the ability to pull off some pretty unique and interesting victories with this pre-con right out of the box. One more time, folks, put your hands together for Mardu Surge and let me know what pre-con commander deck do you recommend that I try next. And like I said, each of the videos that we put out in this series, we're going to take each and every one of those pre-cons and play 3 games on 3 different occasions, because some days the cards just aren't in your favor. So sometimes you just got to shuffle them up and give it a shot another day. But I'd like to thank each and every one of you for watching. And if you've not had the chance to yet, now's a great time to do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Like I said at the beginning of this video, help us hit 100 subscribers. That's our first goal. And if you left a comment, the algorithm really likes that. You rock.